fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, Bill Russell is not top 10, part 3. Final episode, proving that Bill Russell is not a top 10 player. And to me, guys, I'm going to be real. Bill Russell is out of my top 25 after this entire investigation. He's just not a top 25 player. And this is really going to, every video I say, man, this is a cherry on top of the cake, icing on the cake. This proves without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, that's how strong the evidence has been. And it's just kind of weird that, you know, some of us can be this dumb because we don't want to go back and investigate these type of things. But for the NBA to hide this is just incredible. But this one is just, you know, to me, it's the grand finale about how much help that Bill Russell had. And it's been continuous throughout this whole series, how much help he done had. But this is, I keep saying this, but this one is incredible. Because now we're going to the Hall of Famers, the top 75 guys that he played with each year. And it's one thing for, you know, us to say, oh yeah, you know, this guy played with this many top 75, this guy played with this many Hall of Fame players and stuff like that. Just to say it, that's one thing. But to actually visualize it and see it with your own eyes versus the competition in the 60s. So, and then we hear all this stuff about, you know, Oscar Robertson wasn't ish. You know, Wilt Chamberlain wasn't ish. Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, they kept losing. And, you know, I pretty much just heard it was basically choke artists against Bill Russell, a guy who, you know, is all he did was rebound and play defense. That's what we're basically told to put this guy in the top 5, that he was so great. His rebounding in defense, it was so great. It led his team to 11 championships and 8 straight championships on top of that versus these other great players in the league. And we basically done debunked all that. The first one, we went over all his all NBA help, and it was basically a joke compared to, you know, what Wilt Chamberlain had. Second, compared to what Oscar Robertson and Jerry West had and Bob Pettit. It was a joke. We'd never seen that much help of all time. It was a joke. He and then in the second video, we talked about his MVPs, and it kind of correlated with, like, how's he winning all these MVPs if he has the most help and he's shooting, I don't know, he's shooting the worst in the league, and he's just doing dunks and layups under the basket. And we found out that all of his MVPs are basically fraudulent, and he was giving those MVPs because of civil rights, him being active in the civil rights. And that's cool. I'm not knocking that. As far as him being active in the civil rights, I'm just knocking the fact that he didn't deserve the MVPs when we put up Wilt's numbers, Oscars, Bob Pettit, Elgin, Baylor, and Jerry West. He didn't deserve it. Now, if you wanted to give him 1, that's fine. If you want to give Russell 1, that's fine. But they gave this guy 5 and 4 in a row at one point for having the most stacked team in NBA history. And we're going to see right here, this is just crazy. And guys on his team that not only were all-time great players, but they were all-around players, and some of them were two-way players, which Bill Russell was none of that. In the third one, we talked about this misnomer, or whatever they want to call it, that, you know, Bill Russell dominated Wilt Chamberlain in all these matchups. Yes, he came out with a better record because we already showed that he had the greatest team of all time. And if any team that you think was the greatest team of all time, this Boston Celtics team of the 60s doubled that team. And we're going to prove that once again. And we proved that, you know, Wilt Chamberlain not only beat Bill Russell at his own game, which was defense and rebounding, but he also doubled and tripled him in scoring. So if you haven't watched those, go watch those real quick, or whenever you get a chance. I mean, you really don't if you don't want to. I mean, this is going to be this is going to be it right here. I mean, there's no, and what this means is the standard. Bill Russell isn't held to the same standard as any other guy in the top 10, the top 15, the Duncans, the Jordans, the Magic, the Kareem, the Kobe's, not even LeBron James. And I hate to say his name because, you know, Bill Russell didn't cheat or nothing like that or do nothing wrong. And that's what I'm talking about. In these series of videos, I've been telling you guys, Bill Russell ain't do nothing wrong. He's not overrated in my eyes because I'm rating him right now. And the Boston Celtics aren't overrated. They didn't do nothing wrong. But these people out here have been overrating Bill Russell. Clearly. Overrating him. As we continue to do this. So this ain't a knock on Bill Russell. I still think Bill Russell is the greatest, one of the greatest athletes of his era. Defenders and rebounders. But I don't think he's the greatest of his. I just don't think that. not with all that help. See, if you put him on the same teams that Wilt was on, Oscar Robertson was on, Bob Pettit, and a lot of these other guys were on, no, Russell ain't doing nothing. Russell ain't doing nothing with those that rebounding and defending, because those other guys, they were rebounding and defending too, but they were two-way players on top of that. The Oscar Robertsons, the Elgin Baylors, Bob Pettit to a degree, Wilt Chamberlain, these guys like that, Jerry West, they were two-way players and all-around players. Bill Russell wasn't. So let's get into this real quick because I don't want it to run too long. So right here you see the image. It said Boston Celtics top 75 in Hall of Fame players versus Wilt's top 75 in Hall of Fame teammates. Now we couldn't do one team for Wilt because we all know, he played for a few teams. And if you've been following this series, he had no choice. He had basically no help. So we're not even going to go to, I don't know, we're not going to start at the beginning, but it's still, the beginning of Russell's career at 50, 56, 57, but it's basically the same thing. This is just showing, like we did in the All-NBA, starting in 1960, versus Wilt. And Wilt was basically had nothing. No All-NBA players until, 65, when he got 66, I think, and he got his first one. While Bill Russell, from 60 to 65, played with 14, just in that little time period, if you want to go watch the video. So on here, 1960, you got the Celtics. We're going year by year. In 1960, the Celtics have 1, 2, 3, 4 top 75 players and 1, 2, 3 Hall of Fame players. Excuse me if I'm wrong. I don't I'm not going to act like I know everything like Jim, NBA self-research facts, whatever it's called. Because this is one of the guys that pissed me off to make these videos, because this guy was always hating on Wilt Chamberlain, saying he's not a top 5 player, but put Bill Russell at number 2 with all his help, and he's not a two-way player or all-around player? Wow. But he never exposed none of the stuff I told you. Remember, the same standard I'm trying to tell you about that everybody in the top 10 got held to as far as help, melting down. Remember, Bill Russell had all the wiggle room to melt down because he had to do nothing but rebound and play defense. All the other great guys, from the Elgin Baylors and the Jerry West and the Bob Pettis and the Jerry West, all these other great players in the 60s, they had to play an all-around game just to win because their teams weren't stacked like this. So they didn't have no wiggle room if they melted down. Bill Russell had all the wiggle room to melt down. So Bill Russell isn't held by Jim at self-research facts to the same kind of standard as these other guys in the 60s. He ain't. So on Wilt's team, you got 2 top 75 players and 2 Hall of Fame players. Does that look even, folks? And I can tell you what right now. I'm not going to go through these guys real quick, but you got guys on Wilt Chamberlain's team. I think it's Paul Arizin, if I ain't mistaken. This guy got top 75 and didn't even never make an All-NBA team. How's that possible? Let me make sure, because it's a couple guys that played with Wilt. They're making top 75. No, it wasn't him. But he never made All-NBA with Wilt Chamberlain. And this guy came in the league in the early 50s. So basically, everything he was doing with Wilt came in 60s. So everything he was doing with Wilt, he was already 10 years into his career, folks. He only played a couple years with Wilt. Yes, he's a top 75, but everything that he did, his accolades in his career was in the early 50s, mid 50s, and stuff like that, for the most part. I think I want to say it's Guy Rogers that never made All-NBA. Anyway, we'll just keep this moving. But yeah, there's guys that played with Wilt Chamberlain that never even made All-NBA, and they're a top 75 player, folks. Look, you could be a Hall of Fame or whatever like that, but yeah, like Nate Thurman. I don't think he never made All-NBA, and he's a top 75 player. I'm not trying to hate and say he's not a great player, but come on now. Come on now. So 61 on the Celtics. Top 75 players. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hall of Fame players. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they added a Hall of Fame player. Oh boy. Goodness God. Did I miss one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, four top 75. And 1, 2, 3, 4 Hall of Fame players. Because Scat Sanders, they added him on 1961. So this guy, on the very end, he became one of the greatest defenders of the 60s on the Boston Celtics. Remember, the Boston Celtics, they were loaded with all-time great shooters and all-time great defenders. You couldn't beat them. They were so loaded that you could, we showed you, they were coming to the All-NBA team with 3 guys at a time. 3 guys at a time for the first, 7 years. 3 All-NBA guys. And it could have been more. But the league was trying to show mercy. But we always said if they had defensive teams back then, they would have came at least with 4 All-NBA defensive guys. So on Wilt's team in 61, 2 top 75 and 2 Hall of Fame. 62. 1, 2. Did they add one? No, 1, 2, 3, 4 top 75 guys. And it's only going to get worse, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hall of Fame members in 62. We already know the top 75 is Hall of Fame too. They go to the Hall of Fame. But yeah, that's what it is, folks. So let me explain this too. So the Celtics, they were adding guys that were already Hall of Famers. They already played in the league in their career for a long time, and they were on their last legs, but they were already Hall of Famers. You know, they had all these accolades and all NBAs and all stars and assist leader, this leader, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it was like a Bill Walton or Dennis Johnson or, Ray Allen going over to the Miami Heat, this type of thing like that. When you was at the end of your career and you was trying to win a championship. So this is what the Boston Celtics were doing. They were already stacked and they were getting other guys who were already Hall of Famers on their last leg. So their start lineup was loaded and their bench was loaded up. And it's the same old over here with in 62 with Wilt Chamberlain, 2 top 75, 2 Hall of Famers. You know, everybody in the 60s, like I said, the Wilt Chamberlains, all these other guys, Jerry West, Elgin, they're supposed to be choke artists. They couldn't get it done. And you see this. And this is what disqualifies Bill Russell from being out of the top 10 and out of the top 25 for me. Because we put this graphic up on everybody else, and everybody else qualifies for being criticized and being put in a proper place for the type of help they had. But not Bill Russell. They act like Bill Russell led all these guys, folks. So 63, top 75 on Boston, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hall of Famers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh boy. Oh boy. The whole team. The whole team is going to the Hall of Fame, folks. And over here for, the overrated, Wilt Chamberlain, who's a ball hog. He can't get nothing done. Who's he throw to? You got 1 top 75 on this team. That's him. And then you got 1 Hall of Famer, which is Guy Ritchie. 64. Top 75. 1 for the Celtics. 1, 2, 3. They're running out of top 75. And then Hall of Famers, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They ain't running out of Hall of Famers. And then you got, the choke artist over here, Wilt Chamberlain on his team. 2 top 75, 1 Hall of Famer. And this is Nate Thurman. Guy never made an All-NBA and he's a top 75. I don't know about that. All-time great defender. No. And you see all these guys up here just dropping off of Wilt's team after, 63? Because these guys were old. See the 2 dudes that dropped off his team? Paul Ezen, he dropped off, and I forget what this other guy's name is. I forget, but he had been in the league a long time too. That's why he dropped off after 62. That's who he was playing with. He was playing with old dudes. Playing with old dudes. Over here, all these guys were pretty much young for Bill Russell, except for, what's his name? Bob Cousy. And I want to say, was it Tom Heinsohn? No, Bill Shaman. So Bill Shaman was already in the league in Bob Cousy. That's why they end up dropping off in, 63? Yeah, they dropped off in 63, but that still didn't really do nothing to him. So yeah, that's what you got over here. Then 65, Boston Celtics, top 75, 1, 2, 3. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4 Hall of Famers. Right? And then for, we're on 65, right? So for Wilt Chamberlain on this team, you got some guys now. You finally got some guys. Wow. And this is a year, if I'm not mistaken, hold on. No, they didn't win the championship this year. I think it was the next year they won the championship. So on this team, 2 top 75 and 2 Hall of Famers. And it's the same thing. You can go check, man. They're putting some of his teammates in the Hall of Fame, and they didn't even make the All NBA, which is cool to me. But some of these guys on the Celtics didn't make All NBA neither, but they were all-time great defenders. Like I told you, if they had All NBA defensive team, they would be on there every single year. It's crazy. So 66 for the Celtics, 3 top 75, 2 Hall of Famers. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the year they won the championship. Wilt Chamberlain, 3 top 75, 1 Hall of Famer. So yeah, the man finally got some help. Or they just reduced their help over here, my fault. With the Celtics, they reduced their help. So 67 for the Celtics, 3 top 75 and 2 Hall of Famers. We can go through the names. It's going to take too long. If you've been with me in all these videos, we know the name of the Boston Celtics. Basically, if you know basketball, you know the name of the Boston Celtics. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't. I don't know. I'm not going to go through it. It's just going to take way too long on both sides. Yeah, and then for Philly, again, they got 3 top 75, and they got 1 Hall of Fame player. And look, some people, well, it's Wilt Chamberlain, man, he should be winning now. He's got all this help. It's not like that, folks. These guys that he's got are more offensive guys than defensive guys. Over there for the Celtics, it's about 50-50 now. Well, hell, it's been 50-50 the whole time, really. The Boston Celtics is defense and offense. Remember, the Celtics, #1 defensive rating team since 57 all the way until 69. And they had the #1 pace of play, which means they will run the ball down your throat, score, and then say, come on, and stop you from scoring. Get the ball, run it down the court, shoot real fast, and then say, come on. And you couldn't do nothing because they had the best defenders in the league. And it won't surprise me if they brought 5 guys on the All-NBA defensive team every year. So where we at? 68. Look at this. They added some guys right here. Boston Celtics, 1, 2, 3. 3 top 75, 4 Hall of Fame guys. These 2 that they just added, I told you, dudes that just jump on. These aren't draft guys. These are guys jumping onto the Boston Celtics, getting a piece of that. That were already Hall of Famers on their last leg in the NBA before they go into retirement. For Wilt in 68, same guys. 3 top 75, 1 Hall of Famers. These just all offensive guys. Basically. 69. 3 top 75 for Celtics and 2 Hall of Famers. And then we have, then he goes to the Lakers. 3 top 75 and no Hall of Famers as far as I know. It might have been a Hall of Fame. I don't know. But that's basically it, man. You never see nothing like that because nobody will never bring you no image like that. Images are stronger than anything. That's why they can program you with the TV. They can program you with social media. And, when you, just talking, that's powerful too. And, you can get away with a lot of stuff too. You don't have to show no evidence. We see that from the LeBron James, the media. They don't show no evidence of anything. They just talk. But once you put the evidence on them, you can see that they're bullshit. So basically what I was saying the other day is like, okay, him and Michael Jordan was like similar, right? Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan. Ball hog, you don't want to give up the ball. But they just had a natural talent for scoring. They were that good. They were that great. And they were shooting 50% or more, stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah. Nobody could stop them. So they're supposed to say, damn their talents, right? If you're good at assisting the ball, you're supposed to say, oh, well, damn that talent. Or whatever you're good at, oh, damn that talent. But you got to have somebody to play with you in the first place to say, damn that talent. You know what I'm saying? So It took them both until their 7th year to win a championship. Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan. And let me tell you the difference, because I told you the difference the other day. Michael Jordan, he went on to win a three-peat after his 7th year. It wasn't nobody in front of him like that no more. It was the Pistons and stuff like that. Remember, everything just happened because that was the cycle back in the day. I don't think it was guys got older or hurt like that. Yes, but guys did get older and stuff like that. Everybody just beat each other up. And the Knicks were younger than, they were younger than the Celtics, the Lakers. So it was their time. That's just how that stuff works. So it was the Bulls' time too. And the Bulls didn't go on to play, we saw what Michael Jordan had to play. He was playing 3 to 4 Hall of Famers with the Celtics and then the Pistons and all that stuff. After Michael Jordan won that first championship, he didn't go on and keep doing the same thing. The teams he went against, they didn't have that stiff competition. Even though he didn't have all that, great players on this team with the first Bulls three-peat. So he was able to three-peat, and it was parity, like he said, in the NBA. So if you beat the Celtics back in the day, and we've seen that with Bob Pettit, and then we've seen that with Wilt Chamberlain, you just got lucky. It wasn't no parity. You got lucky. So what happened was Bob Pettit won, and then the Celtics won again the next year. You know what I'm saying? And then, Wilt Chamberlain won. And then did he do a three-peat or repeat? No, he got his ass kicked the next year. It wasn't nothing like that, man. It wasn't no parity with the Boston Celtics. If you beat them, you got lucky. That's all it is. You got lucky. And yes, in '69, Bill Russell didn't even lose. He just retired. He just retired, man. It's like Michael Jordan. He just retired after he won a championship. Some people said that they never seen that before. Michael Jordan did it. He won a championship. I think somebody said after he won an MVP and won a championship, but Bill Russell retired. Okay? And some people be like, oh, they wasn't nothing when Bill Russell retired. But guess what? That whole crew was old. That whole crew was old. A lot of them been in there, imagine you keep going to the finals, keep going to the finals, keep going to the finals, keep playing all them playoff games, whatever like that. Your body's going to wear down and stuff like that. So he came in 57. And, a lot of them other guys came in too in the early 50s or right in the beginning of the 60s and stuff like that. So they was wore down. They was wore down. So that's why a lot of them guys retired too. It wasn't just Bill Russell. But we're not here to knock Bill Russell. He's an all-time great, but we done showed you he's not a top 25 player in my eye. And he's definitely not, if we try to say that's ludicrous, that's out of control. No, folks, he's not a top 10 player. He's not a top 10 player. There's nothing to warrant that guy being a top 10 player. Not after all these series. He's not. There's nothing there. Supposed to be the greatest rebounder of all time, only had 4 rebound titles. What? There's many guys throughout NBA history with more than 4 rebound titles. He only made the All-NBA first team 3 times in that era? Wow. And I think one of them was only because Wilt was hurt one year or something like that, or he would have only made 2. So I'm just saying, if he was that good, he would have been taking Wilt. Y'all said he led them to 11 championships in 8 straight. He should at least took Wilt Chamberlain. Remember, what your boy Jim says, Wilt Chamberlain ain't a top 5 player. So Bill Russell, that he touts as the greatest second player of all time, he should have at least been on there half the time. He should have made all NBA first team at least half of his career easily if he was the driving force for even 75% of those championships. If he's the greatest rebounder, I done heard, he should at least have at least 6, 7 rebound titles. Remember, he's only got 4. He got 2 of them when Wilt won in the league. And then the other 2 when Wilt was in the league. One of them was legit. The other one, Wilt was hurt and only played like 38 games. So to me, I already told you guys, and some people gonna take this as an insult, but it's just, I'm talking about skills. I ain't talking about mindset or nothing like that, but he's nothing, Bill Russell, but a combination between the Dennis Rodman. I would say Dennis Rodman because, well, I'll tell you in a minute, Dennis Rodman or Dwight Howard. That's it. Now, I'm not thinking about the way their mindset is. Remember, that was a whole different era back then as far as men think, period, and stuff like that. Okay, so, Wilt Chamberlain didn't really have to work hard, folks. It's like Michael Jordan. He didn't really have to, I'm not trying to say they didn't, but they could go out and party, have fun, then come back and be like, this shit ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Some people are just gifted like that at jobs, and it don't just have to be about sports. It's just about their job. That's, and they don't really take it as a job. They take it as fun and stuff like that. It ain't a job to them. My job, people don't understand how easy it is to me, but I don't look at it as a job anymore. So Bill Russell, that's all he is to me. A modern day, Dennis Rodman, Dwight Howard, and stuff like that. A defender and a rebounder. That's it. He ain't got no other skills. And like I said, career 44% from the field. These people try to lie and say, "Oh man, the league average is 44%." That's league average, folks. That ain't for a center. We're talking about league average. This guy was averaging, attempting like under like 12 shots a game, sometimes less, and he was hitting like 31%, 40%. Just like his percentage is whack. It's weak. You can't have the ball in his hand. That's why people try to lie, and they don't know basketball. They just hear a whole bunch of stuff that they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, he wasn't told to shoot. No, duh. If you shoot like that, why would you have him shoot? You lose, okay? He was asked to do what he does best, which is defend, which is rebound. That's what he does. To me, I said in every part of this series that I proved Bill Russell is not a top 10, the top 25 player. He was just a part of the greatest team of all time, Boston Celtics. He wasn't no better than Bob Cousy, who won an MVP the year he came in. The same year, Tommy Heinsohn won the Rookie of the Year. His own teammate, they're both rookies, Bill Russell and Tom Heinsohn, who Tom Heinsohn is a Hall of Famer, legit too. Remember, all the guys on this team is legit. They're legit Hall of Famers or legit top 75. When we talk about K.C. Jones, one of the greatest, top 10 Boston Celtics in the 60s. Had 3 of the top 10 defenders in the 60s, folks, just on that team. K.C. Jones, I guess you could say Bill Russell, and who's this other guy? I forget his name. The white guy ended up playing in the 70s too. Can't remember his name. I'll remember in a minute. Yeah. 3 guys out of 10 players, out of the top 10 defenders, that Celtics had them. And I would guess they had probably about 4 too. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man, I don't see how anybody could put Bill Russell, when we put his feet to the fire, in that top 10 guys of all time, the Jordans, the Wills, the Kareems, the Kobes, the Hakeems, the Duncans, the Shaqs, the Larry Birds, all these type of guys like that, they were either two-way players or all-around players. Now, when I say all-around player, I mean, you could be all-around player on, points, rebounds, and assists, something like that. That's all-around, like Magic Johnson, right? Two-way player. We already know what two players, offense and defense, okay? So Bill Russell wasn't none of that, folks. These people was out here fooling you because he's got 5 MVPs. He's nothing but a modern. We did on one episode. We don't remember. We did a pace of play and we put it in the 90s in his points per game that he averaged basically during his career in his MVP seasons. If we put that pace of play to the 90s, it only came to 11 to 13 points per game. 11 to 13 points a game. And his rebounds was like 13, 15. Fine. But let's be real, man. Great defender, great rebounder. That's it. That ain't going to take you to 11 championships. Yes, as a part of a core that we done saw throughout this series, okay? It's not for me to care about if it's get 3,000 views, 1,000 views. It's just to be out there so people can see it. Maybe somebody will pick it up and put it out there, that don't get shadow banned like me. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's out there for, because all these people are lying about Bill Russell's career. He's not a top 3 player. That's a joke. He's not a top 5. He's not a top 10. Nothing like that, folks. Nothing. You don't get in. You don't get up in that. You don't get in that echelon just for being a leader. Because a lot of them guys in that top 10 were leaders. You just don't get there, man. It's a complete joke. That's what Michael Jordan said when they were going back and forth. Michael Jordan said, in your era, it was easier to win championships. It was easier, and we already proved that, because through, what was it, like 57 all the way through 67, if you won the division, you had a first round bye and then only had to play one series before you was in the finals. So that's what they did for 10 straight years. I think 9 years they did that. And then as soon as they had to play a different format, they lost. Okay, now they won more championships after that. But what I'm trying to say is Michael Jordan is saying it was easier in your era, and Michael Jordan was right. And then he tried to say, Bill Russell tried to come back with some nonsense and say, oh no, in my era, I think he said John Paxson wouldn't even be in the league to hit that last shot for you because he won't be good enough to make it in the league. And that's a lie, bro. That's a lie. He lying straight through his teeth. Go look at some of them guys in the league with no nothing. A lot of them couldn't even fucking shoot. And then a lot of them couldn't defend. A lot of them couldn't, whatever. They weren't making all-star teams. They weren't whatever like that. So Paxson, he don't know what he's talking about. Even if he's right. Okay, let's say he's right. Paxson wasn't good enough to make it. So Michael Jordan will win more championships if he's saying that because Paxson couldn't make it in the league, only the best could play in the league. That means we done seen that you had all the best, for one, but for two, Michael Jordan will have the best on his team. So let me ask you something in response to that. How come Wilt Chamberlain didn't have all the best on his team? How come Jerry West didn't have all the best on his team? How come, Bob Pettit didn't have all the best guys on his team, or Oscar Robertson? Okay, I'm not trying to say they didn't have any good guys on their team, but they didn't have the best on their team. Trust me. If that's the best the league had to offer, no. They might have had a couple good guys. That's about it, man. But they didn't have the best on. Matter of fact, he had all the best guys on his team. I wouldn't say all the best, but he had more good guys on his team than everybody else. We done seen that, man. So I'm not even gonna try to go into the conspiracy side of that, because I can't prove that. You know what I'm saying? I can't prove that. It might have been a lot of funny business going on back then, that they just getting all these great players through the draft, and then they're getting all these great players coming at the end of their career from other teams to go play on that team. So I mean, if that happened like in any other era, it would be like, especially in a modern era, it would be crazy. If that happened in the 90s or the 80s, now you did have something similar like that, happen with the Lakers in the Celtics in the 80s. They was getting a lot of dudes that were already Hall of Famers in their last days coming over to those Lakers and Celtics teams. So it kind of looked like they was doing the same. And they were both getting like high draft picks after winning championships. We seen that, right? We seen that with Kevin McHale and Worthy, and was the Lakers really tanking to get Magic? I mean, were the Celtics really tanking to get Larry Bird? I mean, how could they be that awful to where to get the number one picks when they had Hall of Famers already on their team? You couldn't see that in any other era, folks. You couldn't see that in the 90s, the 2000s, where you had like 2 and 3 Hall of Famers legit on the team, and they was getting the number one pick. They was losing that much. So it is what it is, man. I'm not going to try to go on no conspiracy side. All I'm trying to tell you and show you, with visual, you know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to go back and forth with this dude, Jim, that done lost all credibility with me. Once I did all 3 of these videos, he ain't got no, look, he could put out good videos all he want, but he done lost credibility with me. When this is easy to put Bill Russell's feet to the fire about this, that we do with every other great superstar in that top 10, top 15, and he won't do it. If you like Bill Russell for whatever reason, that's fine. But he's not a two-way player, all-around player. And he shouldn't be in the top 10 or 15 just because all this help. Either it was with all NBA every year, all-stars every year, he had the most help. And we can see with the top 75 Hall of Fame, he had the most help. Wilt Chamberlain dominated this dude at his own game, and plus at Wilt Chamberlain's own game. So you got dominated in your own game, Bill Russell, by Wilt Chamberlain, and then he put his own game on you on top of that. So the only thing that was holding you up was all them dudes holding your hands. Because if you put Bill Russell on these other people's teams, he probably don't win one championship. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm not trying to say he's a bad player. Matter of fact, you guys don't have Bill Russell number 4, bro. Had him tied with Kobe. Nope, he ain't no number 4 now. He's gone. Kobe is definitely number 4. That's why I'm putting Kobe in. It's been so much Wilt Chamberlain hate. It's just so sick, man. And, look. And some of these guys, let me see. Yeah, this all his. I think one of these guys, I forgot to put on here. I'm not for sure. It really don't matter. Yeah. So most rebound titles of all time, Wilt Chamberlain has 11. Dennis Rodman has 7. Moses Malone 6. Dwight Howard 5. Bill Russell 4. Kevin Garnett 4. And Andre Drummond 4. Andre Drummond 4. And he's supposed to be this greatest rebounder of all time? I don't think so, bro. So let's get into some of these numbers with Wilt Chamberlain before we get up out of here. Gonna be my last video right here. I don't think I'll put out no more videos. I think this is about it. The NBA is done. It's washed. You got all these dudes on YouTube just lying. They just out here for money. These fake Michael Jordan fans, and they'll just put videos out. Just be put videos out because they out here for the money. They won't tell the truth about nothing. They don't want the NBA to come back to where it used to be, or they won't be making no money. They want the NBA to be like it is, but act like they want it to come back. Act like they're against LeBron and just all this stuff, man. You guys know how I feel. The NBA is washed, man. The only thing keeping the NBA alive is us YouTubers reacting. They're not advertising, pushing the NBA. These top 5 international players ain't pushing the NBA. They're just going back home. They're not pushing the NBA. Not like we seen back in the 90s, the 2000s, and before that. They're not pushing the NBA. Nobody wants to watch these international players. No offense, but I'm just talking about that's the ratings. If people really want to see these international players, the ratings would be good. Nobody wants to watch them. And we were told that they were more skilled. Now they travel, carry, fly. They're just the same as LeBron James. So Wilt Chamberlain recorded his career high of 21 assists in a single game in 1968 Check this out. He also became the only player in NBA history to record a double, triple, double by surpassing 20 in 3 different statistical categories. What the hell? 20 assists, 20 points, and 20 rebounds. So let's look at this. Let me see this. Oh, yeah, we already seen this. I'm not going to go back to this. That would be like double talking. It's in other videos if they want to watch it. Wilt Chamberlain recorded at least 2 games with 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. That's pretty good. Wilt Chamberlain had at least 23 games in which he recorded 50 or more points and 30 or more rebounds. He is the only player to have accomplished this. Wow. Wilt Chamberlain recorded at least 50 points and 40 rebounds in a game twice in his career. This guy's a monster. Wilt Chamberlain's 50 point rebound games. Wilt Chamberlain is the only player in NBA history to have recorded a game with at least 40 points and 50 rebounds, accomplishing the feat 8 times in his career. Oof. Wilt Chamberlain is the only player in NBA history to have multiple games with at least 60 points and 40 rebounds, accomplishing the feat twice. Goodness gracious. Let me see what this is real quick. Let me see, it's going to punch up real quick. Oh, this is Wilt Chamberlain, 30 points, 10 assist games. Okay. In 1968, 53 points, 32 rebounds, and 14 assists. Goodness God. Another time, February 23, 1968, 31 points, 32 rebounds, and 12 assists. 63, 45 points, 33 rebounds, 10 assists. Oh, man, that guy's selfish. 67, 42 points, 30 rebounds, 10 assists. 1966, 38 points, 32 rebounds, and 10 assists. What's it say? Many near misses. He also had many games during the high assist period where he was close to 30-point mark or exceeding 10 assists. For instance, in 67 and in several other games, he recorded 30 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assist performance. It just goes on and on, man, with Wilt. It's just a lot of these gaudy records. What's this? In the 94 regular season games where he played each. Oh no, this is something else. That was at Bill Russell against Wilt Chamberlain. We already went through that. he was destroying Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain was destroying Bill Russell, and Bill Russell even said it. He could have stopped Wilt Chamberlain. The only thing that they could do is just hope that, let Wilt Chamberlain get his points, and then they'll stop the rest of the team because the team was garbage. So basically, they just put their defense on the rest of the team. They were doing that with Michael Jordan. They was doing the same thing with Michael Jordan. And they do that with all kind of great scorers throughout history. You let that dude get his points, and the rest of the team is garbage, and then until you can get a team that wants to win. But in this instance, like I said, it didn't matter that you beat the Boston Celtics. You weren't going to beat them again. That was like winning the lottery or anomaly, or they might have had a bad series or whatever like that. They weren't perfect, but they were damn near perfect. They were damn near perfect. So this is it, folks. I don't know if you got Bill Russell in your top 5, top 10. Well, if you got Bill Russell in your top 10 after this, either you didn't watch all the videos, you don't know nothing about basketball, or you must be dumb. There's nothing to warrant Bill Russell to be in the top 10 player. And to me, he's not even top 25, because, like I said, I got a lot of guys I can put over him, because you can't tell me that, Bill Russell's leadership, because I'll name all those top 25 guys that had leadership, but they didn't have the team. And they were great offensive players and good defensive players. The problem with Bill Russell, he wasn't a good offensive player. He was a great defender with all this help. That's all he was. He had all this help. And it never showed that he was good enough to win championships without all this good help, because he always had all this good help to the end, my friends. That's it. That's it. If he ever showed you that he didn't have this kind of help and he was able to lead a team, no, we've never in history. Let me know when you show me a defender, a guy who can rebound, led a team to a championship. Show me that, folks. Show me that at any point in history, a guy who can rebound and defend. Because the Dikembe Mutombo didn't do it. Yeah, Dwight Howard didn't do it. Who's this? Alonzo Mourning didn't do it. Dennis Rodman couldn't do it. Yes, he won championships, but he couldn't do it without all those great offensive players on that stacked team. They had 4 Hall of Famers on that team at one point, and they won 2 championships with 3 Hall of Famers. So I'm just saying, there's no defender throughout NBA history who was just a defender in a rebound that won even one single championship. Let a team. Show me. Tell me. I've never seen it. He was the number 1 player, because that's what they're trying to tell you. Bill Russell was the number 1 player on his team. On this team right here. Do you see it? I don't see it. I don't see it. If it was just him, maybe 2 top 75 guys and 1 Hall of Fame guy, I might be able to give that to you, bro. Might be able to give that to you. I might be able to get that to you. But no way. No way. I'll give him, he was the best center. I mean, the second best center in the league. Remember, he was getting beat out sometimes on All NBA first team before Wilt Chamberlain even came into the league. So not every time, but I'm just saying, so he wasn't even the best center sometimes, even before Wilt Chamberlain came in the league. So, you know, when Wilt came in, I guess he was the second or whatever like that. But to me, say what you want to say. That's it for me. I mean, like I said, I'm glad the video's out here and maybe somebody can run with it that's got some nuts, because all these other dudes out here, they scared, man. They scared to they scared to put these videos out on Bill Russell. Like I said, man, look, this is the greatest team of all time, and I think double and triple, whatever team you think is the greatest team of all time. And don't give me, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring the Celtics, from the 80s to play them, or the Bulls, or no, we're talking about reality. We're talking about if you put, Jordan, or you put, Magic Johnson, or you put any Bird, any of these great players in the place. We ain't talking about bringing that team back to the 60s in place of Wilt, in place of Oscar, in place of Bob Pettit, or, Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Put them on those teams and have them play the Celtics, and they're going to get their ass kicked up and down the court. The Celtics just had too much firepower, and it's too much, man. Too much firepower. That's why I said, when we think about the greatest teams of all time, everybody thought we're talking about 86 Celtics, there's something Bulls of the 90s, or whatever team. They never really mentioned the Celtics. And the Celtics should have the first 5 spots at least as the first, second, third, fourth, fifth greatest team of all time before any other team, because no other team was as loaded as the 60 Celtics, especially for that long. No other team was. So, this is stuff that they don't want to talk about, because they want to keep Bill Russell up in the top 5, up in the top 10. And if you're going to say that, a lot of the guys that won 8 rings, won 7 rings, who were two-way players, who were, they were all-around players on the Celtics team, then you should put them in the top 10 too. You shouldn't single a guy out who was just a Dennis Rodman type of skill level, the Dwight Howard type of skill level, the Dikembe Mutombo type of skill level, single him out of the Boston Celtics for winning, so many championships. But these other guys who won, they won a whole bunch of championships. You ain't gonna put them on there? That's ridiculous. This is the NBA trying to do this. This is the NBA trying to convince people. And of course, this nut Jim at NBA Self-Research, he ain't researched none of this, trying to convince you that Bill Russell led somebody to damn 11 championships, being a Dennis Rodman, being a Dikembe Mutombo, being something like this. But as we can see, yes, we could talk about this if we ain't putting up the actual footage, if we ain't putting up the actual numbers for people to see. Yes, it would just be all hearsay, and we would believe that. But if you said that to somebody else who had a loaded team, and they had a loaded team like this, and you try to put them in the top 5, top 10, you wouldn't. You won't put them in the top 10 like this. You wouldn't, especially if they was just a one-way player, a rebounder and a defender. No way. You would put them in the top 10. You just wouldn't. Even with Larry Bird, he had loaded teams, all-around player. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, two-way player. Magic Johnson, all-around player. Dominated, he got all the stats, the points, the rebounds, the assists. Yeah. Okay, Bill Russell, one-way player, while you had all these great players in his era who were two-way players and all-around players, even on his team, folks. Even on his team better than him. Oh, that's what I was trying to say earlier. John Havlicek, he was a two-way player, one of the greatest. A lot of these players, right, that played on the Celtics, soon as All-NBA defensive team came out, these dudes were on it just like that. Just like that. And they had already won a whole bunch of championships. This was the end of their reign, and they had already been playing in the beginning of the 60s. But when the All-NBA defensive team came out, they was on it the first year. Scott Sanders, John Havlicek, Bill Russell. I don't know if Casey Jones, I don't think he retired like a year before, but he would have been on it. I'm talking about, man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. So take it how you want it. Bill Russell ain't no top 25 to me. He definitely in the top 10. If you want to look blind towards the evidence, go ahead. Like Jim at Self Research Facts. But like I said, I didn't even care about none of this stuff until I heard people keep pissing on Wilt Chamberlain. To me, who is the second greatest player of all time. Only reason why Michael Jordan is number one because he had a flawless career. But when they were pissing on Wilt Chamberlain, I was like, no, bro, you can't do that. Not these so-called stat geeks that's trying to tell you a story with stats. Stats like Jim. Trying to tell you a story with stats. Don't give you no soap opera behind it. It's all stats. And on top of that, like I said, he don't want to hold Bill Russell's feet to the fire. So this video series is for him.